It's time for a panel discussion now. The subject is Slum-Free Mumbai, Reimagining Dharavi. Our esteemed speakers are Mr. Nirmalkumar Deshmukh, retired IAS and former CEO SRA. He will be the moderator of the panel discussion. Mr. SVR Srinivas, IAS, Metropolitan Commissioner, MMRDA. Mr. Sandeep Deshmukh, Secretary, SRA. Mr. Sandeep Shikre, Architect. Mr. Pramod Bongirwar, former Secretary, PWD and member, Standing Technical Advisory Committee, that's STAC. Mr. Shashank Narayan Bhore, Deputy Chief Engineer, Road Planning, BMC. I request all our esteemed speakers to please come up on stage. Over to Mr. Nirmalkumar Deshmukh.
We'll start with the discussion how the SRA scheme initiated in India. The country Korea, it was separated in 1953. Before that, it was not independent country, and it became independent in 1945, like that. You can check it. So the today's South Korea, which is a democratic country like us, the capital of South Korea, it was 80% slum in 1956-57. And now you know the Seoul, the capital who hosted Seoul Olympics. How they transformed the country from the slum to such a beautiful capital, such a beautiful towns. And it's a very rich country. You know the brands they are playing in India, like Hyundai, Nokia and whatnot, what the brand they are having, Samsung. The second example, we should all know, is a very poor country like us, even more poorer than us, is a Colombia in Latin America. And the town Bogota, even today also it is full of slum. And the mayor of Bogota, he tried to transform the entire town into a clean city, and he really succeeded in making the city open defecation. So that was his achievement. And people, they don't allow him to contest for the parliament because they wanted to be him as a mayor of their town, their city. And 3 times he was a mayor, and later on he contested the election for the upper position, and he lost that. So the Bogota is the second example how they tried successfully to turn something out of the slum. Now in India, it is the only Mumbai, it is only Maharashtra who is having this such a SRA, slum rehabilitation scheme, wherein I tell you how the scheme started. In 1994, the slum in MIDC near SIBS, it was auctioned by the MIDC, and the auction condition was that the developer who will come to the redevelopment of scheme, he will give a certain area to the MIDC free of slum. So that was the term, and a developer who owned the bid, it was decided 23% of the entire area, which will be slum-free, it will be handed over to MIDC, and the rest area he will use for rehabilitation plus his cell component area. So that was the first scheme. And then the government of Shiv Sena and BJP, they came in 1995. And this, the dream of late Balasaheb Thackeray, it was put forth, and then it was decided to have the SRA scheme in Mumbai. And then later on it went to Pune also and Kolhapur also. Like that. Since then, we are working on slum, and the topic itself is how to make the Mumbai slum-free. So now I am also party to them since I work as a CEO SRA, and then I also work as a CEO Dharavi project, and even today I am moderating. I just want to ask Mr. Bhore, you tell me, sir, as a common man, forget that you are officer, what you feel about the SRA scheme going on in general and the redevelopment of Dharavi slum in particular. What is your perception? What information you are having in mind, or what exactly you want to expect from the authorities? Please tell us, sir.
Sir, thank you for wonderful introduction for this wonderful topic of slum-free Mumbai. Basically, I was staying in Dharavi for 1996 to 2012. I was staying in 90 feet road, the part of Dharavi only. And still I work in Dharavi, not as a BMC, but I work for some social work for developing all children into giving some good samskaras. Now coming to topic what you said and asked me about what are your perception. Now we have 3310, 3311, the DCR says, giving the 2.5 paisa, 3.5 paisa, and also for 3311 speaks about if you have open plots and give something concession. Now my perception, if you ask me as an individual perception, since I stay in Dharavi, I have seen so many schemes are getting developed, all developed, and really the purpose of the scheme is giving good tenement to the person who was earlier in SRA scheme. This purpose is now is fulfilling.
Okay, so we can have some questions from the later on at the end. Okay, now I'll ask a question to Mr. Srinivasan, who is today as a MMRDA commissioner, and he is holding the additional charge of Dharavi, right, sir? So, what is the status of Dharavi? We should all know. What is the status of the project of Dharavi as on today, at this moment?
A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you. Actually, today's topic is slum-free Mumbai and Dharavi, reimaging Dharavi. Because we cannot have slum-free Mumbai or for that matter slum-free Maharashtra until we at least take care of the largest chunk of Mumbai slums, that is in Dharavi. Dharavi almost constitutes about 40% of the slum population of Mumbai, if not the latest 21 census which is going to start, maybe about 50%. And second is largest is Govandi. If you take care of these two slums, it will definitely become slum-free. That is the first point. So now basically we talk about three basic needs: food, clothing, shelter. Food and clothing, there is no problem for any Mumbaikar or for any city person. Shelter is the issue, and I will also add the fourth need, which is affordable transport. For any Mumbaikar, if you have a shelter and affordable transport, you don't need to give a job, jobs are available, right? So coming to Dharavi and the slum-free Mumbai, how Dharavi was conceptualized and what is the present status? There is a question asked. So for that I will answer in stages and then further discussion can follow. And I will also touch upon the point raised by our roads deputy chief engineer regarding how do you take care of maintenance, because corpus is not enough. That's a good point made. I'll come to that during the course of the discussion. We have addressed that point, by the way. Yeah, we have addressed that point rather well, I think. So, coming to the Dharavi project and slum-free Mumbai, first let us ask why there are slums in cities. Because cities are engines of economic growth. Why there are no slums in villages? Because villages are unfortunately not the engines of economic growth. They are also the co-passengers, right? That's a fact. Although great Mahatma Gandhi said India lives in villages, but we have a situation, and we have a classic example in Chairman Mao's China, where they tried to stop urbanization, but migration continued. And today in Mumbai, if you would see the data, every day there are about 200 families migrating to Mumbai. Every day. It means every hour, about 10 to 15 families are migrating to Mumbai as we speak. I mean, by the time this conference is over, whole day, about 100 families would have migrated. Second pattern, because this is the context is very important, because unless you understand the problem well, you cannot find the solution. So the context I am giving for half a minute. And secondly, second pattern is in-migration from within Maharashtra to Mumbai is actually increasing. There is a second trend actually. The data shows earlier people used to come from Bihar, UP and all. They are still coming. They are not stopping. But people coming from Marathwada, Vidarbha, the Khandesh, that numbers are also very large actually. Percentage-wise, that is much more in the last 5 to 7 years compared to before. So a lot of migration is happening from within Maharashtra also. And how to take care of that issue. Now, coming to Dharavi now. This is the context I wanted to set. Typically, how SRA works, let us understand. SRA is actually developer-driven project, right? Developer is, we think it's a negative way, but let us call it in a neutral way called market-driven scheme, right? It's a market-driven scheme because the difference between the land price and construction cost is so much in Mumbai, so it is possible. It was very well conceptualized, as Mr. Deshmukh has pointed out, in 1995, when the first UP government had come. We were that time CEOs, Jilla Parishad and collectors. So, having worked for the last 20 years in urban sector, in this housing sector, there are certain inputs that we have taken, that experiments that have been made for Dharavi, and we are trying to address them. What we are trying to do, what is the population of Dharavi? As we speak, it may be touching 1 million. Actually, it is like not just a slum. It is a city within a city. Population of Kolhapur is about 6 to 7 lakhs. I think this is smaller than Dharavi population. For city of Kolhapur, you have about 5 to 6,000 staff. I was municipal commissioner Kolhapur some 15 years back. Yeah, no, it is 20 years back in fact. So it's small population. That was a 5 lakh population. So we are talking about lakhs of people. And secondly, very important component of Dharavi is the commercial and industrial structures. Dharavi actually has very vibrant local economy, consisting of leather exports, electronics, textiles, potters, so many different types of products are made, and some of them are exported also. Commercial and livelihood issues come into picture when you redevelop Dharavi, right? So in that context, I will add, if you want to can ask, otherwise I can continue because it becomes a monologue. I'll just stop about 2-3 points that we are trying to address. First is the state government is kept it as the topmost priority, if not topmost, in the top 2-3 items of their agenda, which is very welcome, by declaring Dharavi project as a vital public purpose project. It is declared as a vital public purpose project. It means something, right? We do so many projects, but Dharavi is one of the few handful, like MUTP, Mumbai Urban Transport Project was a vital public purpose project. Dharavi is also declared by the cabinet, and the cabinet chaired by Honorable Chief Minister in the presence of Honorable Deputy Chief Minister just cleared it about 15-20 days back. Number one. So what does it mean? What is vital public purpose project? There are 4 things that are required for success of Dharavi, apart from many other things, because it is by far the most complex, the largest urban renewal scheme in the history of, if not in the history of the world, definitely in the history of India, but in the top 2-3 in the history of the world. So that is the complexity that we are talking about, and the largest urban renewal scheme. So for that, there are 3-4 things that are very important, and I will stop there. Then further discussion can follow, or 4 more questions can follow. One is the sheer number. The density is the highest. In fact, there are no new slums coming up on Dharavi because there is not a very even 1 inch left. We can go only vertical. Mr. Deshmukh was there, so they cannot do horizontal. There is no space left. So density is one of the highest. Secondly, it is very rather close to airport. So airport also restricts the height. So that becomes the planning. It becomes a very big, huge planning constraint. That is the first part. Secondly, if you want to develop Dharavi in an integrated manner, why integrated also I will tell you a little later. Then huge upfront investment is required, because whenever you do redevelopment of a slum, first you have to take care of the rehab portion, right? Because after rehab only, after some about 10%, then only the free sale can start flowing in. There is no revenue. So you require huge investment to take care of this. And third is question of eligibility. That is a very, very important for slums. In a smaller slum, like all of us have seen SRA projects over 2 decades, in a smaller slums, about 10%, 20% are not eligible. Not eligible. That's all. They are not rehabilitated. Let us say there are about 300 slums structures. 15% comes to about, let us say, 30 people. So 30 people are left out. But here you have thousands of people, thousands of families, which has to be rehabilitated. You cannot just wish them away or throw them away. So you have to take care of them also, albeit in a different conditions, right? That is very, very important. And fourth is integrated development of Dharavi. Dharavi has to be developed in integrated fashion. The reason is as following. Whenever you have multiple layouts, earlier we were thinking of doing, 5 clusters, right? Then came the thought process of 13 clusters we let us do when I joined. But with the more number of clusters we do, the optimization of space does not take place, because each cluster or each layout has to have its own amenities. So there is a lot of duplication and triplication, and multiple number of things have to be done. So there is a wastage of space. So wastage of space is not for developer. Actually, wastage of space is for the people. The more number of wastage, the larger the wastage, duplication, triplication of amenities, the smaller number can be accommodated in Dharavi, as even among the eligible people. So that is why the state government headed by Sri Shinde sir has actually come out with the concept of integrated development of Dharavi. Now it is about 600 plus acres, right? That is the total Dharavi notified area, 600 plus acres, 245 hectares, roughly speaking, including the roads, etc., excluded portions. So integrated development of Dharavi is very, very important. As I said, financially the liquidity issues, high density. Third is highest number of ineligible people, very large number. And fourth is the need for integrated development. So considering this, we came out with a new model for Dharavi, which can perhaps take off. And if and when takes place, the day Dharavi foundation stone is laid, my personal assessment again is that is the day actually Mumbai will start becoming slum free. Thank you.
Sir, we want to know what is the status of the project, when we are going to appoint a developer, when he will start the work, and what is the schedule. That we are interested.
Thank you. Actually, here who is the developer? That is the question. And when it's going to start? Here, for the first time, actually in Dharavi, in the government, state government, has conceptualized slum redevelopment in a different way. There is a complete paradigm shift as far as Dharavi is concerned. In fact, it will be a trendsetter if it is successful as to how redevelopment of slum should be looked at. And what we are doing, who is the developer actually, and when is it going to start? When is it going to start? First, I'll address that question because that has been asked. It is going to start, I think, in about 3 to 5 months. And how to do it and who will do it? Actually, who is going to be the developer? The word developer was used. So here, for the first time, why I called it paradigm shift in terms of the new thinking in the Dharavi redevelopment. Here, this first slum, where state is a party. State government will be, along with the private investor, will be together redeveloping Dharavi actually. It is not one developer will come and he will do. No. And we structured in such a way, a special purpose vehicle will be established, in which 1/5 share is of government equity, and 80% belongs to the private investor. and government will not invest more than 100 crores. Remaining, it will be a SPV of 500 crores. Remaining 400 crores will come from the private person. But you cannot have Dharavi redevelopment. Even a bridge cannot happen, 2-3 bridges with 500 crores. What is required is about 25,000 crores only for rehab. So that money has to come from the market. So we have structured in a way whereby the money can come. And why we, the government should be a party, that the question can be asked. For two reasons. One is whenever, in fact, 2016, in fact, we did try to have a Dharavi redevelopment. In fact, 4-5 times we extended it, but no response was there. The reason is Dharavi, for the reasons I just mentioned in the beginning, it is a very high-risk project. A lot of investment is required, initial investment, very huge investment is required. So for that, for a private person, private investor, whether it's an institution or individual, if the government is there on the board, I think that gives a very good interface with the local community, and that will be actually seen as a sort of if not a guarantor, but it will be like a protector for the project. That is one. And equally important is that if there is, let us say, from the point of view of the private local residents of Dharavi, the issue is how to deal with a developer. They cannot. So government gives the interface. Government gives the correct interface as far as the project implementation processes are concerned. Because a lot of issues will come up during the process. Not only the eligibility issues, but a whole lot of other issues also come up in the process. So if they are going to come up in the process, how to address them, how the public will have a participation interface. So that's why we conceptualize the SPV model. I think it is, hopefully it will solve that issue.
So what we got, within 5-6 months, the developer will be appointed and the work may start, and there will be some schedule to complete the project. So this is about the status of the Dharavi project. Shikre sir, I just want to ask you, this is regarding the Dharavi, but we are talking about the entire slum of Mumbai. So what needs to boost, as an architect, he's architect and dealing with the SRA schemes, what government decision needs to boost the projects so to implement them speedily? Number one. Number two, I just want to give you one very bad failure example of Mumbai. We land on the airport and we saw all around the airport the slums, right? 306 acres of land owned by the Airport Authority of India. It is under the slum. And there was really a good project, and it was given to, again, on the same basis which was started in 1994, to HDIL company. It's not there right now. So the terms was that they will give 62 acres of land to that HDL, and the rest they will rehab and complete the project, and the rest of the land will be given to Airport Authority of India. The entire project failed. Very bad example for us. Now we are struggling since 2004 in Dharavi, and I tell you what the sir is saying, and I too worked there 1.5 years. We are at 0 point. I tell you, we are at 0 point as on today, after having 18 years. So, Mr. Shikre, as an architect, you please tell me, here two honorable MPs are sitting. So what exactly needs to boost the SRA projects in Mumbai?
Yeah, so firstly, let me compliment Construction Times for arranging this great summit, and I really feel blessed to be here in presence of all the dignitaries and all the important young leadership and the rule makers and the followers. So I will put it in two baskets. So basically, if you'll see today, the 55% of the population of Mumbai is been slums, which are there on a 24% of a workable area. So the kind of model that we have now, where we are trying to incentivize by creating a slum rehabilitation and giving an incentive to a developer to build equivalent to that area, probably will not work, because we are trying to go into a high density into a localized pocket of a 24%. That will also push a lot of infrastructural issues. So we have to think out of box and look at it not as a particular isolated pockets, but look at it as a whole city, as a holistic approach. Where sir said very nicely, these big pockets like Dharavi and the Govandi, if they have been touched, it will start the ball rolling. And a wonderful, different kind of a model. Again, I'm quite happy that I'm sharing a dais with sir, which is a construction development agency, and now where it's a special purpose vehicle. So it's not a PPP with a developer. There is nothing wrong with the developer.
Sir, I am interested what decisions you need to have, or what you think upon that the government should take, which will boost the entire slum schemes of Mumbai.
Okay, so Mumbai,
that is what?
Mumbai has 221 wards. The 21 wards do not have a generic solution. The government should take a panel of architects and urban planner on one side. Government should take the reputed agencies like Shapurji, Palanjis and L&T and Tata Project on other side. And government also should initiate a funds on other side and really put the confluence of all these people.
My question to you is, sir, are you getting enough funds from the banks, from the NBFCs, from the funding authorities to run the show of SRA? Tell me. The scheme is good, is viable, the developer is good. Only he needs funds. Are you getting the funds from the bank, being an SRA scheme? Or are you getting the money from the LIC or whatever the funding authority? What government needs to do in that? Unless you have money, you will not do anything, though you are a good developer. Tell me in that.
So, yes, of course, there has to be a finance model. Today, we are looking at only residential stock as a sale component. If we do a commercial component with some incentives, if we give some social credits, if we give some tax exemptions, automatically the velocity of the particular sale component will go high. We have to think differently. We are trying to create only residence to residence. And once that model is there in place, you'll have these construction companies, because all of them are developers. Please understand, Tata Project has a development wing, Shapurji has a development wing, L&T has a development wing. You can do a barter system with them and tell them, okay, I have so much of a stock to be built.
Sir, my is very simple question. I am developing a slum of 500 huts, out of which, say, 400 are eligible, 100 I have to dose out. Okay, so this is a scheme of 2.5 acres, 1 hectare. I need about 150 crores for this project. No bank is backing me. No bank is funding me.
Deshmukh, I'll answer
What I
that
should
question.
do?
I'll tell you this because I was in housing department when we tried to address this question. The question is as following: if the banks are not helping the developers, that is a fundamental question being asked. And the reason is in SRA there is a practice. So there is a practice that you don't allow any mortgage or any sort of a thing until all the rehab is complete. But unfortunately, what slum developer requires is for doing rehab. He doesn't need any money for doing the free sale. So that rules have to be tweaked a little bit for that to really address that question. I'm sure both the honorable MPs are here, so they can take up with the government that point. But second very important point is about if you want to do slum-free Mumbai, there is one more thing we have to do. One is slum redevelopment we are doing, of course. But as I said, there is a in-migration is very huge. I gave the numbers also. For that, you also require a slum prevention program because if people keep on coming, said you are doing for those people who are already in Mumbai, but how to take care of them? For that, I think we need a very robust rental housing scheme. I think that is one of the very key answers. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a very limited time. We want to have questions from Sandeep. He was working in SRA as a secretary. So what are the problems or what the government needs to take a decision regarding the eligibility of a slum dweller? Because if I'm a slum dweller and I'm not eligible, I will not leave the place. I'll go this court, that court, n number of courts and delay the project. So the eligibility is a very crack of the project, of the slum project. So Sandeep will tell us what are the difficulties today in that and what the government needs to do in that. Please.
Right now, SRA had started automation in the eligibility program. Since we are already having a pool of all the information of all the slums. And I think in 1 month, the people who want that they should be eligible or not, they can go on our websites and they can check where they are eligible or not. Means we already surveyed around 10 lakh huts and another 6 lakhs are in office. So as such, we are fixing the number of huts in Mumbai and eligibility will be fast tracked. Already 10 officers are appointed in SRA itself for eligibility.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think the question is about
Question is-
ineligible people. How do you take care
so
of that?
my point is simple. Is there any complexity in deciding the eligibility? And if that is so, if not, then good. If that is so, what decision you suggest?
Already there is one Sashulk is done for up to 2011 hutments. The fee with people will get a home with a fees. Government had fixed
Okay, you
around-
say that till 2011,
Yes.
quite large number of people, they will be eligible.
Yes.
And okay, any more suggestion you want to have?
The government had fixed that up to 2011.
Okay, this is suffice that the scheme will run fast. Okay, sir, you worked as a secretary PWD. Sir, kindly give your opinion. You see the slum project. There is a cell tower and there is a rehab building. So how you feel the design of slum building, number one, and the quality of slum building, the rehab slum building, please, sir.
I'll just narrate my few experiences of services. I was in charge of Andheri Ghatkopar long back in 77. That time we just offered a developed plot, that too in Malavani, and people were forced to go there. Later on, because of the political awareness, etc., demand increased that they should be given full-fledged house. Earlier it was 120 feet, then it was 160 feet, then it was 225 feet, and I think now they want 350 feet. Any slum to be reaccommodated accommodated has to be given 350 square feet of lot. Secondly, in our MMRDA, we could think of some cross-subsidy, minor cross-subsidy, because we were more in charge of the development project, Santa Cruz, Chembur, Likro, Anik, Pandrapur. But the main problem is where existing slum, how to accommodate the existing slum. As you rightly said, the present formula is 50% people to be accommodated and 50% to be sold.
Sir, how you see the slum buildings?
That is what I'm coming to that. The main problem which I foresee, we are going up and up, 15 floors, 16 floors, 17 floors. And that too, for a slum people, he will not be able to accommodate the maintenance cost of such high-rise building. And therefore, government has to seriously think regarding how much to charge the developer. That is one part. Some of the places which I saw, that the width was so narrow that even the fire brigade cannot reach there. So if the fire brigade cannot reach, if any fire takes place, then what do you do? So we have to change the design of the slum, wherein we must insist for one tower, at least one tower, wherein the fire people can go and check the fire. This is another requirement. Secondly, whether anybody checking the quality of the people who are going for the slum, especially the narrow drain pipes area, drain pipe, how do the people maintain that? Because nobody is bothered about further subsequent maintenance problem which the slum people are going to have, especially even in the rich middle class society also. People don't pay the maintenance charges. I don't know how they are going to maintain the building, because we have just started the experiment in next 5-6 years, and they ultimately going to blame the government also later on for this policies. So the time has come that we review especially the fixed maintenance charges which is supposed to be paid by the developer has to be reviewed. Then some more stringent specifications, especially fire safety. I know I visited one site where it was almost impossible for the fire brigade to reach there. Then what is the solution? Solution is you insist for one tower, and then at least fire brigade can stand about 100 meter to or 200 meter away and supply the water. So these are some of the real problems. Need of review of the specification is a must, I think. And let's take Dharavi, which he was mentioning. If you are going to put additional population there to cross-subsidize, we don't know what is going to happen. These are some of my views.
Can I just take 1 minute only?
Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, so this is the teething issue, the quality of the rehab structures. So we would like to suggest that pre-qualify 10 to 15 contractors, develop a standard module, develop a corporate rate, and make it mandatory for all the developer to follow only those pre-decided, predetermined, pre-qualified contractors to do. So at least you will cover one aspect, because today some of the slum buildings which are rehabilitated are very scary because you are left it open and there is no proper auditing system. But it is quite doable. If you'll see the international case studies, what they did in New York, what they did in Kuala Lumpur, they pre-qualified contractors, they pre-qualified the rate, so there is no non-transparency there. Every developer will be happy, and make it mandatory for him. If you have 300 slum dwellers, you have 3,000 slum dwellers, it is must that you have to select out of these 10 contractors, and they have been following the quality parameters, statutory parameters. That way you can control the rehab component. 1 minute on the non-eligibility. If you take the real survey of the non-eligible people, many of them do not really want a permanent house. If you bring a lot of rental housing stock, create an old concept of a dharamshala, you will find a lot of these migrants will be happy. Today they are scared because they have to come here and they have no other choice but to go in slum. But if you carefully survey them, you will find they are very happily willing to migrate into a rental housing. This
and
could
all
be a
the global cities, what they're solved, like make it London, you see Singapore, any city has a rental housing scheme.
Absolutely.
Mumbai is the only city of global scale which doesn't have a rental housing.
You give a respectable rental housing, these slums will automatically, prevention will happen.
Okay, good. I'll just narrate within only by 1 minute what happened in Dharavi. In 2004, some idea was there to separate this area of Dharavi from the usual SRA schemes. The usual SRA scheme run under DCPR 3310. Then DCPR 3310A was added, and that is a special provision for the Dharavi, number one. And it was the idea, I think Vilasrao Deshmukh or Sushil Kumar Shinde, they may be the CM of the state. And during the time of Mr. Ashok Chavan, the first tender was issued. The idea was that not to give any developer, issue a tender, appoint a developer and run the scheme. So the first tender was issued that time, 2008-9, and then it was never opened because something like that, one tender and like that. Then in 2015, the second tender was issued. It was again a global tender, and it was actually printed. The tender was not only shown on the various websites of the government and of the project, but it was printed in Australia, in China, in Middle East, the Khaleej Times, in London, and the New York Times paper. We paid 85 lakhs rupees for that. The entire advertisement was printed, and the global tenders were invited in 2015. The response was zero. No tender. ENY was our, Ernst & Young was our, they were our, what we call as, right. They used to guide us. So the tender was, no bidder was there. Now we are, as sir is saying, we are again trying for the project by again going for tender and appointing a developer. There are three honorable, sir, you are, it is in your constituency, Dharavi. Shetty sir is the expert in SRA project. He has a very deep study in SRA project, and sir is there. When the Dharavi project was initiated in 2004, 40,000 slums were removed and they were converted into a good livable buildings. 40,000 flats were constructed. Out of those 40,000 flats, sir, 10,000 flats were from Dharavi. 25% scheme was implemented in Dharavi. And all of a sudden, by this decision, we stopped that. It was running very smoothly under 3310. I don't know what is the idea of some government officer, and they decided, okay, we'll go by this project. So nothing is happening. So this is my opinion, and then we'll have a question. Now, what is the solution of Dharavi? Sir, scrap the project, allow 3310, let the scheme go ahead. It will take care of Dharavi. Sir, the time is the name of the game of the SRA. All the schemes of SRA. As the time is going on, the floors are going up. 58,000 slums were there, sir. Now, they may be 80,000 because, the floors are going up. 3 floors, 4 floors, the slums are there. So who will take care of these people? So as we are delaying a decision, in my opinion, no developer will do this from any corner of the world. It is the only 3310 which will take care of that. Yeah, sir, and that is that. And secondly, sir, we need to revamp, go out of box and revamp the 3310 scheme. Why we need environmental clearance for a slum, which is directly draining the water into the sea, sir. When Mr. Fadnavis was CM, I just put before him, sir, this Varali Kolivada, the entire portion is going into sea, entire water is going in, and that for that scheme, no environmental clearance because it is coming in CRZ. Then let it go for another 50 years like that. What is going? So out of box thinking is necessary to boost the 3310 scheme, SRA scheme, and the Dharavi must come under that, sir. Thank you very much. Now, any questions from the audience? Yeah, please, sir.
I want to add something. The major problem with the SRA is the availability of the land, and when SRA is taken over, the main problem is with the slum dwellers' rent. The developer which comes, the SRA project goes for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, even 10 years, 11 years, 14 years. And the main problem is with the money. So I think we should, as you said, out of the box thinking is required in the slum redevelopment. Any developer comes, he is not capable and everything gets stranded. Now we are working since last 1 year on the slum rehabilitation project. What are we doing is you have empty lands in the form of bus depots. We have a lot of bus depots in Mumbai cities also, in Thane also. And there are adjoining slums in the bus depots. Say the bus depot is 10 acres and the adjoining slum is around 25-30 acres. So first you take out the load of rent from the developer. Give him the clean land where there is no much of a problem with the municipal corporation. ये वो उसके अंदर ही आधा टाइम चला जाता है उसका. So what we have come up in Thane is we are looking for this bus depots and we develop these bus depots. Develop these bus depots as in you develop the bus depot, you give them commercial for the bus depot where the bus depot will be self-sustainable. Upon that you do a market for the city, do parking and go vertical. For example, if the bus depot is 10 acres and the surrounding slum is around 30 acres, that can be put here in vertical. And the 30-acre land will be emptied. And we should look for some collaboration with the international investors. It is not the job of a developer. So we should do these experiments. We did it in Thane. Hafiz is who is doing this study and we are in the final stage. We have an MOU with, now we are doing an MOU with Middle East and Norwegian government. It is in the final stage. They are willing to invest money, I think around 5,000, 7,000 crores and with only 3%, 4% interest rate. And that too we don't have to pay them. We have to give them the sale component. So these solutions, Dharavi we are talking about is a big chunk. But for these small things, 30 acres, 40 acres slum and adjoining land, if we do this, we can come up with a good solution and we get many things. We get empty land. We had 10 acres of bus stop. We are getting 30 acres there, shifting all the slums there. What our municipal corporation is investing in the schemes for the slums, the drainage, everything will be looked for. So this is out of box thinking. So we are in the final stage. Hope everything will be right, and this will be a pilot project now for the city of Mumbai also. So I think out of box thinking and government collaboration, we have to ease things out. We cannot leave it on the developer to develop that. The government has to intervene, government has to provide solution, government has to be, as rightly said, in project of Dharavi, the government has given the assurance. The government is a part of Dharavi project. That is how the project will come to a completion. It will not halt anywhere because the government is, and people will also have faith. I think commissioner, not only the political people, main things is the MMRDA commissioner also, STAC commissioner is also, MD is also there. We should come up with these solutions, and we can make things easy for the developer, we can make things easy for the investors also.
Yeah, sir, please. Deshmukh, one thing about this suggestion that has come about building above the bus depots. In fact, there also Dharavi will be a first starter because there also we are proposing, because there is a bus depot in sector 5. So उधर भी हम लोग कर रहे हैं. I think शेवाले साहब को MP साहब को मालूम है. Yes, financial bid. And secondly, what MP साहब said, Srikant Shinde ji, an investor is needed, not a developer. That is exactly what we are trying to do. And the point you made, because on a stage, when a point is made, it has to be responded, I thought. That is why, in a good way. Like 3310, we should go for Dharavi, that's what you are suggesting. But the point I made about Dharavi is the high density. If you go for 3310, there are a lot of suboptimal use of space, that is one. And secondly, we went for 3310 big time in the last 25 years. But the latest news is that a few months back, 500 slum schemes have been cancelled. They were all under 3310. Am I right? 500 schemes हमने cancel करना पड़ा after 15-20 years. So they are under 3310. So it is not that 3310 or 10A. But the question is how to find a solution, make the rule fit to that solution. See, you just don't go by 3310 or 10A. You come out with 10Z also, no problem. And as far as the environmental clearance is concerned, I completely agree with you. It's very well paid because people are, the entire river is getting polluted, but we don't bother. Further, we suggested in the Dharavi scheme that there should be a single window clearance as far as the environment clearance is concerned, because there are several buildings will come up. For each of them, you cannot go to Delhi and come back. So for that, we suggested entire layout master plan should be approved. And then I think I stop here. I think MP साहब आपको कुछ बोलना है. Civil aviation also it is there. Yes.
Can I speak, Nirmalji? Because Rahul has advised me to speak in Marathi because Srikant has spoken in English. मला हे म्हणायचं आहे का सरकारला बिल्डर का लागतो? Why government needs a builder? Government is a builder. If you want to clear the slums of Mumbai, government should take this project in their hands. For example, in मालवणीत सरकारचा मोठ्या प्रमाणात जमिनी पडलेत. एनडी झोनला आपण SEZ मध्ये कन्वर्ट करायचं ठरवलं. तो आता हॉल्ट वरती आहे. उद्धवजींनी सांगितलं नाही काढायचा, तर नवीन सरकारला बघूया आपण. सरकारने तिथे मोठ्या प्रमाणात 4 FSIचा बेनिफिट घेऊन बिल्डिंग तयार करायला पाहिजे. मुद्दा नंबर 1. मुद्दा नंबर 2, ज्या झोपडीमध्ये 150-200 फुटामध्ये माणूस राहतो त्याला आपण 300 फूटचा घर देतो. 40,000 रुपये त्याच्या बँकेमध्ये आपण अकाउंटमध्ये ठेवतो. इन्स्पाइट ऑफ आय एम बीइंग अ पॉलिटिशियन, आय हॅव टू टेक वोट फ्रॉम द पीपल, वोटर्स. तरी मी हे डेअरिंग करतो सांगण्याचा. वाय वी शुड टेक कन्सर्न ऑफ दॅट पीपल. कन्सर्न कशाला पाहिजे? झोपडपट्टी राहणाऱ्या व्यक्तीचा कन्सर्न कशाला घ्यायचा? या कन्सर्नमुळे सरकार, ऑफिशियर, पॉलिटिशियन हे 3 एक बाजूला झाले. तो सर्वात मोठा प्रॉब्लेम आता झालाय. एक बिल्डरकडनं 10,000 रुपयामध्ये कन्सर्नसाठी साईन करतात, दुसऱ्याकडनं 15 घेतात, तिसऱ्याकडनं 20 घेतात. हा सर्व व्यवहार चालू आहे. हे सर्व व्यवहार पुरा केल्यानंतर SRA मध्ये फाईल गेल्यानंतर ज्युनियर इंजिनियर पासून CO SRA पर्यंत गेल्यानंतर परत वरून कुठून तरी चक्री चालते आणि परत येऊन पुरा प्रोजेक्टला स्टॉप करून दुसरा बिल्डर येतो. हे सर्व चाललेलं आहे. फर्स्ट वी शुड डिसाइड व्हॉट वी हॅव टू डू. वी हॅव टू क्लिअर द स्लम ऑर नॉट. आपण सांगितलं का माझा अभ्यास खूप आहे. In last 35 years, we have considered only 290,000 houses. Okay, as per last government survey when Devendra was chief minister, we have more than 15 lakhs family today. By this speed, we are not going to clear slum-free Mumbai in 80-90 years. It may take 100 years also. But political vision आणि इच्छाशक्ती असली तर आपण बघता बघता मुंबई शहर क्लिअर करू शकतो. आणि म्हणून गव्हर्नमेंटने हे सर्व स्कीम आपल्या हातात घ्यायला पाहिजे. गव्हर्नमेंटकडे लँड पडलेले आहेत, तुम्ही घर बांधा ताबडतोब आणि लोकांना शिफ्ट करा. हे सर्व पॉलिटिकल B, C, D सर्वांना सोडून लोकांना 200 फुटाच्या ऐवजी 300 फूटचा घर मिळतो. 2-5 किलोमीटर लांब असलं तरी लोक येतील आणि घर घेतील. आणि म्हणून हे आपल्याला करावं लागेल. आजच्या तारखेला SRA मध्ये काय चाललेलं आहे? सशुल्कचा आपण रेट ठरवलं ते अजून निघत नाहीये. ट्रान्सफरचा रेट ठरवलं तो आपण क्लिअर करत नाहीये. आय एम सरप्राईज निर्मलकुमार जे आपण होता बोंगीरवार जी चीफ सेक्रेटरी होते या महाराष्ट्राचं. 1976 पासून स्लमचा आपण लोकांनी कायदा केला. मुंबई शहरामध्ये आणि उपनगरामध्ये ground+1 चाली जमीन मालिक बांधायचे आणि ते विकायचे. खाली वेगळा माळून वरती वेगळा. स्लम मध्ये आपण लोकांनी नियम केला पहिल्या माल्याला घर द्यायचं नाही. इन एनी कंट्री दुनिया के किसी भी देश में सरकार का काम है लोगों को को घर देना, लोगों को बेघर करना ये किसी भी सरकार का काम नहीं है, लेकिन इस मुंबई शहर में आपने हजारों लोगों को बेघर कर दिया। और मेरा जैसा व्यक्ति वो ओमकार बिल्डर के लोगों को, जहाँ गुजराती सारे फैमिली उनको सपोर्ट करने गया, तो गोपाल शेट्टी इज सपोर्टिंग ओमकार बिल्डर। कैसे हम लोग व्यवस्था करेंगे, कैसे ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करेगा? निर्मल कुमार जी, आपको पता है आज भी मुंबई शहर में हजारों लोगों को हमने बेघर कर दिया है। मैं इतने दिन से पीछे पड़ा, इसको करो। एक्ट बदली हो गया, लॉ बदली हो गया। चीफ सेक्रेटरी, डेप्यूटी लॉ सेक्रेटरी ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, ही हैज गिवन अ ओपिनियन कि भाई इनको हम डायरेक्ट पात्र नहीं कर सकते, सशुल्क में पात्र कर सकते। मैंने कहा कि चलो सशुल्क पात्र करो, वो बिल्डर भर देगा पैसा। आज भी 4 डेंसिटी में बने हुए प्रोजेक्ट में घर बनकर खाली पड़े हैं, 5 साल हो गए, लोग बाहर गए हैं, उनको भाड़ा भी नहीं मिलता है और रेडी घर में आने के लिए उनको इजाजत सरकार दे नहीं रही। कैसे ये प्रॉब्लम हम सॉल्व करेंगे? तो माय लास्ट सजेशन इज दैट अगर आप मुंबई शहर आपको स्लम फ्री करना है, ये निर्मल देशमुख जैसे ऑफिसर, गौतम चटर्जी को पकड़ के लेके आओ। ऐसे 2-5 ऑफिसरों का टीम बनाकर सरकार ने ये सारे प्रोजेक्ट को ले लेना चाहिए। और प्राइवेट लैंड में बसे हुए प्राइवेट लैंड के झोपड़पट्टी के बारे में भी वो जमीन मालिक को कह दो, आइदर यू डेवलप दिस योर प्लॉट विद इन 5 years, अदरवाइज गवर्नमेंट विल टेक ओवर। उनका प्लॉट भी ले लो। देखते देखते मुंबई शहर को हम स्लम फ्री करेंगे। मैं एक लास्ट बात बताना चाहता हूँ। साहब ने अभी रेंटल हाउसेज की बात की। मैं रेंटल हाउस तो बनाना ही चाहिए। मैं इस मुंबई शहर के मराठी भाषिकों के बारे में बताता हूँ। क्या इस मुंबई शहर के मराठी भाषिकों के बारे में कोई सोचता है क्या? अगर वो झोपड़े में रहता है तो उसको एक 300 फुट का घर मिलेगा। 2 भाई है उसका शादी होने के बाद में वो 15, 20, 25 हजार रुपए में आज नौकरी करके मुंबई शहर में रह रहा है। आज मुंबई शहर में एक 300 फुट का भी अगर उसको घर लेना है तो मिनिमम 60, 70, 80 लाख तक उसको जा रहा है। कहां से लाएगा पैसा? तो मैं सरकार को सजेशन दे रहा हूं, कलेक्टर लैंड, माड़ा लैंड और जितने भी गवर्नमेंट के लैंड में है, सेल कंपाउंड मत बनाओ, सारे 300 फुट के घर बनाओ। यू मेक सरप्लस हाउस है। किसी को अगर लेना है तो 30-35, मुझे दे दो एक प्रोजेक्ट, 35 लाख रुपए में 300 फुट का घर मिलेगा। आप ये क्यों कायदा बना रहे हो? मुंबई शहर में एक आदमी को एक ही घर मिलेगा। लेट हिम परचेस, लेट हिम बाय। और ये लास्ट में सजेशन ये देता हूं कि आई हैव स्पेंड माय 55 गोल्डन एज इन स्लम आफ्टर बिकमिंग अ काउंसलर फॉर ट्वाइस MLA। आई वाज द डेप्यूटी मेयर ऑफ मुंबई सिटी। माय कमिटमेंट वाज द पीपल। मैं आप सबको बिल्डिंग में भेजूंगा, फिर मैं जाऊंगा, लेकिन मेरी लड़की डॉटर बड़ी हो गई तो मेरे घर के लोगों ने मुझे फोर्स किया। देन आई शिफ्टेड टू बिल्डिंग। मैंने देखा है कि बिल्डिंग में रहने का मजा क्या है और झोपड़पट्टी का 44 डिग्री के टेम्परेचर में मैं रहा हूँ। आप मुंबई शहर के लोगों को एक 300 फुट का घर दोगे तो 25% उसका काम का एफिशिएंसी बढ़ेगा। साहब जहां पर भी वो काम करता है ना, उसका 25% उसका एफिशिएंसी बढ़ेगा। तो क्या ये हम लोग सब लोग मिलकर इसके बारे में इतने बड़े गंभीर विषय के बारे में सोचेंगे कि नहीं? ये मेरा सवाल है। मैं आज के इस कार्यक्रम को आयोजकों को धन्यवाद देता हूँ, राहुल सेवाले और श्रीकांत जी और बाकी सारे लोगों को। बाकी सारे कोई भी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हुआ तो चलेगा, लेकिन एटलीस्ट ये स्लम का कोई ना कोई रास्ता निकालो, ये मेरा नम्र निवेदन है। थैंक यू। भारत माता की जय।
So thank you everyone, all panelists.
Thank you, sir. We request everyone to be there on dais. And before we move ahead, let's clap loudly for all the speakers. We would like to present the mementos. So may I request Mr. Ramamurthy Mayavan to please come up on stage and hand over mementos to all our esteemed speakers. I request Shri Gopalji Shetty to please come up on stage, and I'll request Shri Rahulji Chevare to please hand over the memento to Shri Gopalji Shetty with bouquet of flowers. We have editor News 18 Lokmat, Mr. Ashutosh Patil with us. I request Mr. Ashutosh Patil to please come up on stage. And I'll request Shri Rahulji Chevare to please hand over a special memento to Mr. Ashutosh Patil.